Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J Moore Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, please feel free to drop your questions or comments into the comment box here on Facebook, and you'll see me turn my head from time to time to check. And I'm sure if you have any questions or thoughts about brunch, which is the focus today, let us know. Today's guest is AJ Feuerman, a Los Angeles native who is obsessed with brunch, not just as a meal, but as a cultural touch point. A full-time public relations and social media executive representing clients across entertainment, lifestyle, and tech industries. Also a freelance food journalist whose work has appeared in bold italic, LAist, and West Coast publications. Her best of foodie content can be found on her Instagram at Hollywood Brunch. Let's welcome AJ.
Hello.
Hello. We had a quick moment to say hello.
Yes.
You're on the East Coast enjoying the freezing weather, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It was 19 degrees when I got here yesterday. Thanks, guys.
Well, what can I say? It'll make you appreciate your 70-degree weather when you get back to LA.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, other than doing the show today, is there anything else on your plate of interest that you're going to be doing?
Today,
Mm-hmm.
try not to go outside and freeze. I'm going to a concert tonight to see Rick Springfield and Richard Marx that I'm very excited about.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I know you work in Hollywood and you worked with musicians and many people. Have you ever worked with either one of them?
I have not, no, but I'm a big Richard Marx fan, so I'm excited. So, yeah, should be good.
Okay. Now, I like to tell people about somebody's background, and I love my guests because they're all have all these multiple degrees. You have your bachelor's of fine arts. Was it screenwriting, NYU?
Yes, I went to film school. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then your master's in communications from USC,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, you didn't play around.
Education, I guess. I also just last week started teaching a class at UCLA, so I am all over the map educationally, I guess. Yeah.
So is that where you're the adjunct professor, or is that?
Yes, I'm an adjunct instructor in social media at UCLA.
Well, you got involved with, we're getting a little off subject, but it's important because social media plays such an important part in the food industry and many of them. What was it, early 2000s, 2006, you were like one of the first people on Twitter, one of the first people getting clients involved with that. Social media, you studied entertainment. Well, now social media has become the entertainment.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I do at night. I'm ready to go to bed. I turn on, I go, and my attention span is minimal.
Yeah. I mean, we're all in bed scrolling, right? Just swiping. So even, people take their iPhones and Androids into the bathroom with them, and they do it when they're sitting on the toilet. You can't even, you go to restaurants and you can't even, people aren't even talking to each other on their phones. So yeah, social media is the entertainment. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. For somebody who is out there that is representing food and restaurants and brunch, how do we now navigate these changing algorithms? Is there a way?
Oh, goodness. Is there a way? Well, yes, probably the algorithm. I actually just spoke to my students about this a couple nights ago. The algorithm remains kind of a mystery, right? But the best thing we can all do when we're publishing content to social media is make sure that it's authentic, that it's, a strong representation of whatever it is you're trying to brand or market, and engagement. I would rather have 1,000 followers that are super engaged with my content than 10,000 followers who barely look at it, right? So, it's much more about the engagement on a particular post than it is about how many people follow the account.
Well, you have that with your Instagram at Hollywood Brunch.
Yeah.
Um, what is it about brunch that so fascinates you?
Um, it's a good question. It used to just be, look, I'm from Los Angeles. Uh, it's a big cultural movement there, so to speak. It's girlfriends getting together, and it's kind of an eventized meal. It's not just like going out for dinner or grabbing lunch or going out for breakfast. It's like, let's do brunch. And like, that's, it's a whole thing. And it's probably the same in other major cities. I certainly know it to be true for Manhattan, but it's usually a treat. It's decadent. And so I kind of fell in love with that because it's not something that happens every day of the week. It's an excuse to kind of celebrate anything, if not just everything. The food being offered is different than what's on the menu the rest of the week. It's more socially acceptable to drink at brunch when it's during the day. It feels like a treat, and I just kind of fell in love with it as a concept. And my friends started coming to me all the time for my recommendations, and I was posting about it a lot, and it just it led to, in 2016, led to me just kind of starting this dedicated Instagram where all I do is post brunch photos, and it kind of took off. I've got about, I think, like last time I looked, like 8,000 ish followers there, and restaurants invite me in, and it's super fun. I don't do it as a side hustle to get paid. I just like brunch. What can I say? I'm a
Yeah,
woman of simple needs.
simple means.
Yeah.
You stated that you feel like brunch is a cultural touch point. Is
Yeah.
there? Can
Yeah.
you explain that?
Yeah. It's you go out to brunch and you kind of feel like you're part of a certain, I don't know how do I explain it. When you go out to brunch and you look around at all the people, everyone just feels kind of higher, top tier, kind of elite. It feels like a sophisticated outing, and it's just kind of become synonymous with Bloody Marys and mimosas and big hats and dark sunglasses, and it's got a little bit of drama to it in that sense. And I just think it's become kind of part of the culture. It's not something people were writing articles about. There weren't food outlets doing top 10 brunch places, before. So it's just kind of become this big part of our culture. If you like eating, if you like going to a restaurant, it'd be really weird if you don't like brunch. Uh, it's something people say, I'm in the mood for a brunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just, it's a movement. It's a whole space in the industry.
to address that, there was an article. It said brunch seems to be the new dinner. Brunch provides a more affordable option for consumers seeking to gather with friends and family as opposed to dinner. Both
Sure.
lunch and dinner visits at restaurants were down in 2023, but brunch was
Interesting.
up.
Absolutely.
Brunch, I looked into the history. I
Sure.
go, I don't know where brunch came from.
Yeah.
We understand it's a combination of breakfast and lunch, and that's how they came up with brunch. But it started in the late 19th century,
Hmm.
and it started in England, where they did, the full breakfasts and before going out on the hunt or going to
Yep.
church. Um, and then in 1930, it sort of picked up here in the States after World War One.
Yeah. There's some debate about, how it truly originated in America, but yeah, it definitely had that British influence. More British people started to migrate over here, and there's a few different beliefs, not that it's a religion or a historical pivotal thing, but People have debated, is it because people would travel by train so much back then, and the time zones were changing, or the timing was changing, and people wanted their breakfast at different hours, and it became brunch. There's also been some discussion that when chefs were done cooking on a Saturday night, and all the food from the week had kind of piled up, and they didn't want to waste it, they decided to have a meal on Sunday where they could reuse some of it. So there's some different chains of thought on where it actually stemmed from, but it certainly has been a thing that has evolved and become almost if you're going to have a successful restaurant in a major metropolitan city, it's almost like you have to have a brunch now. And not just a Sunday brunch. Now people do it on Saturday. There's a restaurant in Los Angeles I know of called Mess Hall where they do it every day. They talk about how they have brunch every day of the week. So yeah, it's not even exclusive to one day anymore.
Excuse me for reaching around. I was having a technical issue, but I think I resolved it. So now we're just trying to see there we go. There you are, full size. I wanted to make sure I was getting to any comments that were coming in.
Oh, no problem.
And really, I remember, most restaurateurs hated brunch. Yes. Because Saturday night was the busiest night.
Yeah. The last thing you want to do is come in early the next morning and prep another big meal, right?
Right. Yeah. But, it's definitely changed. And I can see the younger generation who are city dwellers, a great excuse to get together. We were talking about drinks and the mimosas, the Bellinis, the Bloody Marys, the bottomless became a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, bottomless. And it's, I want to go somewhere where there's bottomless. It's like, thank God for Uber.
That, and, it's used as a loss leader for those who don't understand. It's, restaurants usually made more profit on drinks than they did on food, or does. And to do this, they cut their margins, but they're making their money back up on the food.
Right.
And actually, there are different rules in different states as for bottomless.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned that the price, discrepancies and the loss leader stuff. It's interesting because brunch is kind of this thing. It's this, this moment. People will pay at a brunch, people are more inclined to pay $25 for bacon and eggs than they would be if they were just running out for breakfast, right? So,
right.
$11 for a bottomless mimosa when you're paying $25 for cheap, what is really, let's be honest, cheap food, inexpensive food. I guess it probably works out pretty well for the businesses.
You started the Brunchy Awards.
Yes, the Brunchies. Yeah.
The Brunchy Awards out in LA.
Yeah.
What categories were you looking at?
Oh,
there had to be. What qualified them for an award?
Well, I had to have eaten there.
Of course.
So yeah, people, when I first started doing it, people were sending me their restaurants for consideration, and I was like, I haven't been there, I can't give it an award. And it's not about necessarily, like, just to be clear, it's not the best of the everything, right? It's the best of what I've had. It's my awards, I make them up, so it's like best patio, best decor, best Benedict, because most restaurants have some version of an Eggs Benedict, best Bloody Mary, best non-traditional brunch offering, things like that. I didn't do it during lockdown, during the COVID pandemic, because I wasn't going anywhere, but still managed to give out a few awards in that time. So, but yeah, it's just something fun. Yeah.
What would be your dream brunch? If you could have anything in front of you for a dream brunch.
Oh my goodness. Wow. It's like a Sophie's choice for me. Well, first of all, a really good Bloody Mary. I'm very partial to the one I make to be honest with you. I love making them at home, but a really good Bloody Mary, if I can see through it, not good. I want it to be like a creamy, thick, tomatoey, slightly spicy, horseradishy, a really good Bloody Mary. And my favorite brunch meal, quite honestly, is just an eggs Benedict. I love it with like a thick piece of ham. I also love maybe like a less traditional Benedict with like just bacon, or pork belly is really good. But it's all about like I love like a good thick English muffin at the base and a really delicious hollandaise sauce. Um, quick side note: at one point, someone who many years ago, someone wanted to take me out for brunch, and they took me to an IHOP, and which is fine. I love IHOP, but they told me I had to try the eggs Benedict at IHOP, and I was like, I'm at the International House of Pancakes, but I felt like I had to. And it was the first time I experienced a not very good hollandaise sauce. So that has become an important factor for me. So yeah, like a really beautiful, delicious, decadent eggs Benedict with a side of maybe some beautiful fruit and some crispy potatoes. And I also like to have a cup of hot tea. And that's probably my dream brunch meal,
Well,
preferably on some kind of beautiful patio in nice weather.
well, that's important for some brunch to have I think you gave an award for best view, didn't you?
Yeah, and we have that. I'm sure every city has their best view. In LA, it's nice if you can see the beach or a canyon or something like that.
Right.
Um, in Manhattan, just a view of the skyline doesn't hurt anybody. I'm sure in Baltimore, or even I know there's some good spots. A friend of mine from Pasadena and has pointed out some good spots there for me to try when I go. So yeah, I'm sure everyone's got a view that is desirable.
Yeah, I saw that friend posted that you were going to be on the show on her
Oh,
Facebook page.
yeah, that was
Yeah, I
nice.
saw that. And it's funny, we did have a question come in, but I think I asked you. It says, what is your favorite brunch food? Do you like traditional breakfast at dinner?
Oh, I love breakfast for dinner. Absolutely. Yeah. I guess what I really like is treat meals, because I guess breakfast for dinner feels kind of like a treat. So maybe that's a thing with me.
Right.
Yeah. I also love like really good fluffy pancakes. My needs are not unusual.
You brought up the Bloody Mary. Did you make it at home? Well, I saw on your Instagram that one of the tricks that you use in your Bloody Mary is you add mustard.
I do. I add a little bit of Dijon mustard, and I can't take full credit for that. A friend suggested it to me once, and it's delicious. Yeah. I also like everything bagel seasoning around the rim instead of salt or celery salt. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking here in notes. And I think you sort of hit this. I was going to say, what differentiates a good brunch from a not so good one? Are we talking hollandaise sauce, or is there anything else that sticks
Well,
out in your mind?
look, I've certainly attended a brunch or even at someone's home. The food could be subpar, but if the company is great, if the service is excellent, if the environment you're in is wonderful, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the food. A lot of times for me, it's more about who I'm with and what we're celebrating or what we're gossiping about. And so that's just as important. It doesn't even, it doesn't have to be at a fancy place. I've gone to a deli and had matzo bari for brunch, and it's been perfectly lovely because I'm with 5 friends and we're laughing and telling stories. So I think, what's a bad brunch? If it's really bad food and really bad service and there's just no salvaging factors, then it's probably a big fail. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But,
Well,
as for a restaurant, look, your service has to be terrific. People are there because it's a treat and they want to enjoy themselves.
okay. If I were to come to your house and you're going to fix me brunch, what would you fix me?
What would I fix you? Well, I've had people over for brunch. I don't know, if I'm cooking for a lot of people, I want it to be stuff that's fairly easy to do. So probably some kind of quiche, like a quiche Lorraine is a good one. Like a quiche, or even just like some kind of egg casserole, like a breakfast casserole. It's really good. My mom makes a terrific breakfast casserole. And I love giving people the opportunity to kind of customize their meal if they're in my house for brunch. So I'm really just all in on like a bagel and schmear spread and like lox and sliced veggies and different kinds of cream cheese options and capers, onions, tomatoes, cucumbers, all the things. I love putting all of that out. Not where I live now, but at a previous apartment I lived in, I had a housewarming party and made it a brunch party. And so I had like a mimosa bar, which is fun, and a Bloody Mary bar so people can choose their own accoutrement, extra toppings. So
Accoutrement.
yeah, I guess I like to make it kind of an activity if you're in my house.
Do
And to
you
make it
think the days of the stacked accoutrement in the Bloody Marys is gone? I mean, I'm surprised the glass didn't tip over.
I know it's gotten like yeah, it's gotten a little out of hand. There was definitely a point where people were trying to get bigger on it, right? Like I remember at one point we were seeing a lot of like burger sliders on Bloody Marys. Is it gone? Well, I think it's probably not as trendy as it was a few years ago, but I think people will always try to create an Instagram moment, So they'll throw a lobster claw on it or a burger or a hot dog, whatever gets a picture and a hashtag.
I've seen like a little Cornish hen. I mean,
Oh
seriously.
my gosh. Yeah, I went to a restaurant once in Palm Springs. I was there for the Stagecoach Music Festival, and we wanted like a really greasy hangover breakfast. And we went for brunch at some restaurant, and they had a menu where you could check off everything you wanted in your Bloody Mary. And someone at my table, I checked off a bunch of stuff, and it came stacked like forever. It was like beef jerky and cheese cubes and cherry tomatoes and bacon, and out of control. So yeah, you know,
I'm not a big fan of beef jerky. I used to work for a meat snack manufacturer, and that was one of the things that we made.
yeah, you're
Uh,
probably pretty burnt out on that.
so just along with that, and then what was it tickled? I did a road trip to Nashville this year,
Oh,
and
fun.
coming back, we stopped at a Buc-ee's. Have you heard about the Buc-ee's convenience stores?
Yes, I have actually just last weekend at a brunch. Someone was telling me about Buc-ee's.
It had, think of a large deli counter, large. And in it was multiple flavors of beef jerky. It was the whole deli counter, 2 shelves of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's something to, I mean, because it's huge. It's like a department store and clothing and things like that. And you
Yeah.
can get barbecue. Um, it was an experience. I didn't get the beef jerky. Not
No,
that anybody cares. Before I forget, I will remind people to reach out to AJ at Hollywood Brunch on Instagram, and you can find AJ. Is it Feuerman? Am I pronouncing it right?
you are. Yeah, it's a German word for fireman.
Well, that's how they came into Ellis Island, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They took on the names of what their career was: carpenter,
Yeah.
baker.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know the true origin of my last name, but it's been Feuerman for a long time. So,
Well, the going story is my last name is Bunjon, and everybody says, is it French? Is it this? Is it that? And I go, it is said that my late husband's grandfather came into Ellis Island. And they said, what's your name? He went, Buongiorno, because he didn't understand. And henceforth, the name Bunjon came.
there you go.
So a little derivation from food people, but, we go on.
That's okay. It's what we do at brunch. We talk
Yeah.
all day.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think breakfast has become, I never used to like breakfast, but now that's what I do in the morning. The other day I did whole wheat toast with a scrambled egg that had mint espelette in it and
Wow.
mushrooms. And I topped it with avocado. And then I had pink and black peppercorns and coarse sea salt on it. It was so
Wow.
good.
That sounds delicious.
It was yum. I made it the next day and had teeny little tomatoes on it. The avocado is now gone.
I was telling, for those of you out there, I was telling Dara before we started this conversation that I had to eat something before I came on so that I wouldn't get hungry when we had this conversation. Although it because you just mentioned that and it sounds so good.
That's what I do after the show, and I get the links out to everybody. Then I go eat something as my reward for doing the
Yeah,
show.
I don't blame you.
We talk at the end of the show. I have 5 questions or 4, dependent thereof, and you've been forewarned. So we'll sort of wrap up. What was your best bite this week?
Oh, my best bite this week was I had a really delicious sandwich on Sunday for brunch in Beverly Hills, and it was a prosciutto and brie sandwich. Not a traditional kind of brunch offering, but it was with some fig jam on it and some arugula, and it was delicious.
Sounds yummy.
It
Okay.
was.
If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh God, about anything?
Anything.
Anything? I would probably tell 18-year-old me that not everything is the end of the world. So,
Yeah.
and get more sleep.
You say that, and I think about my youth and being out late, and I would still be living at home. And I go to bed at some ungodly hour on early Sunday morning, and I would wake up for dinner around 6 o'clock. I mean,
Yeah.
so I got to sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't, but I did. The next question is, if you wake up tomorrow morning with a new talent, what would the new talent be?
Ooh. What would my new talent be? I don't know. I don't know if this is a talent per se, but I would love to wake up and be really good at math, like exceptionally good at math. There are members of my family that can do incredibly complicated math in their head, and I did not get that talent, so I would like it.
Okay. I'm always curious to see what people want and do. What was your ultimate culinary fail?
My ultimate culinary fail.
Hmm.
Um, well, is it okay if my fail led to a success?
That's fine. Yeah.
I was trying I entered a contest several years ago, a baking contest, and I decided without any experience doing so to make a 7-layer carrot cake. And it shouldn't have taken as long as it took me, but it did because I don't know what I was doing wrong, but the cakes just kept caving in on themselves, or they were overcooked, undercooked, and they were mushy in the middle, not mushy in the middle. And it was just, I was literally standing in my kitchen, pulling a layer out of the oven with like tears coming down my face. Like I was never going to get this right. On top of which, I waited to the last minute. I was about to miss the deadline. I also had decided I wanted to make the icing by myself. So yeah, it was exasperating, but I did ultimately, I think at like 3 in the morning, finished the cake, had to bring it in at 9 in the morning, and it actually ended up winning one of the categories. So it was a very frustrating endeavor, and a lot of things I did differently the next round, but at least I won. So
Well, join my club. I'm a frustrated baker. So
yeah.
were you. Okie dokie. And what didn't I ask you that I probably should have? What do you want people to know?
Ooh, interesting.
The door's wide open.
Yeah. Well, how about I would I would say, what are some things people can do in a restaurant to make their brunch stand out from other brunches? How is that?
That
Um,
sounds like a good topic. Go for it.
Sure. So I think something you can do is, I think, a lot of restaurants have, the same stuff on the menu. You've got a pancake option, you've got French toast, you've got a Benedict, things like that. And I think people need to put dishes on their menu that are different than others. I think, uh, creating a menu that is not the same as the one next door is a big help. I think coming up with a good cocktail program is a good selling point. Yeah, but I think, we live in a culture now, I think, where if someone sees something being done well, they try to emulate it. And I think that's a fair business strategy, but then I think you also have to differentiate yourself from it.
And that's great for the restaurateurs. Any tips for people going to brunch?
Yeah, I think, try to go with a large budget. Try not to put a lot of pressure on the check. It's a meal where typically only do it once a week, and it's supposed to be fun and a treat for yourself and your friends or family. And I think try to pick somewhere you've always wanted to go. Someone asks me to pick a brunch place, I will spend an hour on the internet researching it. I take it very seriously. But yeah, I also think, it's nice if you can keep a little post-it note on your desk of places you want to try, so that if people ask you, you have some right there that you know of. So yeah, those are some of my tips.
Great. Terrific. Well, it's been fun talking about brunch. We're both
Likewise.
contemplating what we're going to eat next. So, it's been a successful show. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
if you end hungry, you've done well.
yes, that's it. And I want to thank you, AJ, everybody at
Pleasure.
Hollywood Brunch. And you're here on the East Coast, so stay warm. Enjoy the concert tonight. And I will be getting back and forth to you because I know you're going to have future food clients and you're going to say, can they
Absolutely.
be on the show? And we'll put them
Yeah,
on the show.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Love it. I'll see you when I get to Baltimore.
Are you heading this way?
Eventually, someday. Yeah. I would love to. It's on the list.
Okay.
Got a long list.
Okay. Well, you know who to reach out to.
Absolutely. We'll go for brunch.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, AJ.
All right. Bye, Dara.
Bye bye. Everyone, next week's show, our guest is Susanna Ziger, owner of Ma Petite Shoes here in Baltimore. Shoes and accessories for the free spirited and artisanal chocolates to delight. Now, I like shoes, but we're having Susanna on because she knows chocolate. In fact, she's heading or already there to the Fancy Food Show in Las Vegas, reviewing all the artisanal chocolates and what she's bringing in. So we're going to be talking chocolates, maybe a little side of shoe, but chocolate. So her shop, Ma Petite Shoe, has been known for not only the shoes, but chocolate. Food tidbit. It's not too early to think about Valentine's Day. I was reading this and it tickled me. White Castle seems to have the same idea, and they're starting to accept reservations for the Ohio based slider chain's annual Valentine's Day dinner. So that tickles my fancy. White Castle reservations, Valentine's Day. Check it out. And monthly, J Moore Living is giving away a $50 gift cards to some of your favorite local restaurants. Visit jmoreliving.com/contest to enter to win. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at food@jmoreliving.com, or Instagram is at Dara Cooks. Give me a follow. All shows are immediately archived in video form on JMOR's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. Feel free to dig into our video archives of past shows. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. May your plates always remain full, and I will see you next Thursday.